Mic check. How's it going, everybody? Gonna do another small scripting live stream here. I don't know why I decided to do this one. There's gonna be mostly boring stuff that we work on, but hopefully we'll get to see the product of it as we go. We're basically just working on the how to describe it, getting enemies to respawn in buildings and in towns rather than just on the outskirts and moving in. And to recap, like here's an example town, an example AO, and right now enemies, say this is the AO area, like maybe we can draw like a ring or whatever. Pretend it's a red circle. So what happens now is when enemies respawn, they respawn on the outskirts. So say there's like this is a really common AO. Say there's like players here, and maybe some players here, and maybe a few guys have pushed up here. So the enemy will generally respawn like sort of over here, over here, and over here, and they'll sort of run into the combat zone. What I want to happen though is I don't mind that, like that seems to have worked for a while, but I want a little more of so we just remove 2 squads that run in. Say those squads respawned here, here, and here, and then they run around in the town. So instead of them first being spotted like up in the hill up here, instead of that they're in the town and they're already in the fight, sort of thing. So they're respawning closer to the action and they're not having to run in from the outside. So it creates more of a like more action in the towns, I guess you'd call it. So that's the plan. It's not an easy thing to do, especially to like work into what we have. So it's a slow going process to build in like a robust, good system for this. And right now I do have like I have an in progress system that we're working on, and we're just gonna keep building it as we go. So yeah, let's have a look at what we got already. So we're into the script here, and this is our AO prepare script. So this thing runs at the start of every AO on the classic mode, not on the sector control or insurgency mode though. So on the classic mode, this script runs, and then we're basically like getting whether it's a suitable AO. Like there's some that have towns like this, and then there's some that are like where's a good one? There's some AOs that are like, you know, up in the hill like this. So this one we're not gonna do urban spawning stuff. We're just gonna do like default, like whatever comes up now is gonna be we're still gonna do that. But for towns like say this where we do have a little settlement area, we're gonna try to implement some town spawning stuff. So like the AI spawning in towns as we just went through. So that's what we're working on. So yeah, this script will run through, it'll detect whether it's like a suitable AO for this sort of stuff. And then it will add like we have a list of like sub-objectives here. One's like the enemy population in the area, and then another one's like the radio tower. So these are like the main sub-objectives. Delete that for a sec. The UAV jammer can spawn as well, and then what we're also going to have is one that, if it's a suitable AO, that is going to come up as like an urban respawning procedure is going to start up, and that's just what we're working on. So it'll jump into like the sub-objectives spawning system. It'll collect like all the suitable buildings in the area, like the buildings that haven't been destroyed. You know, like we'll put another check in here now for like select LiveX. So it'll take like a list of houses in the area. Like it won't pick like this. Little tiny buildings like this won't be a part of it. It'll mainly be like the bigger structures with like multiple entrances, like little house type things. Garages, I think, are going to exclude as well. It'll just be like proper buildings and houses that get brought into this. So we build up a list of buildings, and then what my plan is to spawn in units that act as like nodes. So these specific units here that I've spawned, these will be like the like respawn beacons. So the best way to describe it is, so like this unit here is alive, therefore this building here is still a viable respawn site for enemies. So like enemies, because this guy's still here, are going to be selected to respawn in this building and then make their way through the town after. So if we have a few of them around the town, that's basically how it's going to work. At least how I have it set right now to work. I'm not sure if this is the best way, but it's a way that I can see doing what we want. So yeah, like we're gonna spawn a default like a small number of enemies who are gonna act as the respawn beacons. And to disable this building for like enemy respawn, you'd have to go in and kill this guy. And I'm not sure. I think we might just have him look like a normal enemy, just to prevent the system being gamed, like leaving one guy alive and then just like camping the door sort of thing. So I want like a number of enemy in the town who are not in this system, just like a base number of enemies, and then some of those ones will be the like the respawn nodes. Like this guy's here, therefore this building is like a viable respawn site. And to take it out as a respawn site, players will have to kill this guy, but they won't know they have to kill this guy. It'll just be like one of the units in the building is the unit that is controlling the system. So let's see where we are. We have the initial setup where the AO runs. I've been testing these like little blocks of code. Done these today. So we can run an example actually. Yeah, we can run an example. I'll try to make the screens bigger. Like I know people complain about the text size. So I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. That's huge. For me at least it's huge, so I'll see if I can tolerate that for now. Okay, so we're back to the editor. We're gonna jump back in. And this is all just testing, like we're a long way off from this being like ready. I'm still like in the phase where I have just plain text notes embedded in the code for while I'm writing, like, you know, this is what the plan is. But this little bit compiles fine here, so we're gonna use this. Actually, we need to define this function first. This is like our spawning procedure. This is like the mission procedure, and then this is like the enemy spawning procedure, like where all the AI come from. So we'll define this function first. We'll also set ourselves as like invincible. So we define this function on the right, and we're going to execute this little bit of code on the left now. This is like determining like whether the site or whether the system will initialize or whether the zone is like not worth using this system. So here goes. So we just press execute, and we should have a bunch of enemies that have just spawned. Yeah, these are our 10. I'm capping it at 10 right now. So like, there could be a lot of buildings in the area. I had the system to select, like we shuffle it around, so it's not always the same buildings getting selected. So we shuffle the whole list of buildings found, and then we select like the first 10, just so that it's not always the same ones. I'm not sure why. I have a feeling it's better just to use like around 10 spawn buildings. A major thing that we're gonna have to keep in mind with this system is that it doesn't prolong the AO completion time. Like, if you're hunting, that's another reason why, like, if you've seen in Zeus, like the enemies that spawn in the towns are like the green faction. And a part of that is so, like, hunting down the last ones won't slow down the AO completion. Like, say you've cleared the AO, but then there's like a few enemies tucked away in buildings somewhere, and then you're just like, everyone's just hunting around, like, looking for the last guy. I didn't want that, so I didn't want enemies in buildings to be like, to be required to be killed to complete the AO, or else people just be hunting and people get bored, so on and so forth. So that's a major consideration for this system, is that it doesn't extend the time it takes to clear the AO. So we have to always keep that in mind while we're doing this. Because say there's like 5 guys, and say it's like a big town, like this isn't a big town over here, but it could take like 20 minutes to clear this town, especially if they're respawning in it. So yeah, we have to make sure that with the stuff we're doing, we're not dragging out the AOs and ruining like the nice flow of the gameplay. That's something we're gonna watch. What is it? What are you saying? Multiplayer saving, save mission profile namespace. We do use profile namespace for saving, and mission profile namespace. Actually, I guess we could use that, couldn't we? Just to like separate the variables that we use from like other variables, like to separate like the profile, like the server's like default profile variables and like Arma's profile variables from like the mission profile variables. So that's probably a good idea. It's not saving in the sense that you think like shut down the server and the state of everything is kept so that when you launch it again it's back where it started. It's not so much that as like just using a different file for the mission. It's probably a good idea. I'm gonna write that down as like a thing to do. So yeah, where are we? We are into the script here, so make sure there's more than 10 viable buildings, and then select the first 10. A potential problem that might arise here is there might be like small towns. As an example, like this town, Rini, just north of north up here. This is like a smallish town. So this will be like the system will trigger right here. But then it's always going to be the same buildings because we've selected 10, the first 10, because there's over 10. Like say in this town there's like 11 buildings. Then this number will select the first 10. So it'll select all of them, really. And so when you roll into the town, it's not going to be like after you play the AO a few times, you're just going to know, all right, guys, we got to clear every building sort of thing. And I don't want that. I want it to be randomized. So what can we do to address that before it becomes an issue down the line? So I'm just gonna make a note of that for later. We need to ensure we aren't using so I'll make a note of that for later. I'll leave it on this line here. And yeah, so this is the spawning bit, and I have a little like list of things we have to work through. So we have to handle the initial spawning, which is all this stuff here. We need to handle respawning, of course. We need to make sure we aren't spawning inappropriately, like right in front of the player, right behind the player, or if the player's like super close. But it is going to be closer. Like, you know, we're not spawning like a kilometer out. Like we're not spawning them like out here like normal. Like this is a normal place for enemy to spawn. Like we're gonna be spawning like, you know, here. And if there's players running around like over here, and you're spawning enemies like here, you have to be careful to make sure they aren't spawning like in a way that ruins the fun of it. So yeah. So we got some work to do there. Save mission profile namespace. I know about that system. Like I know about the mission profile namespace stuff. It basically like creates a new file. Like it just creates a new file. And like instead of doing like mission namespace, you can do like local namespace and like server namespace. And then they also did like which local namespace is mission namespace, sort of. It just can't be propagated over the network. Same with server namespace, I think. I don't know. I've looked at that stuff and I haven't. Nothing immediately has jumped out at me saying like we should switch over to that. It's interesting. It's just it's interesting. I just haven't seen anything that jumps out at me as a reason to use it yet. All right. This was old stuff. I'll just delete that. What do I have over here? Is viable, done that. Like viable spawn buildings, done that. So we have to determine when a spawn building is no longer viable. There's a couple ways to go about that. We can use like the building changed event, like basically like so we have our buildings here, and most often than not, the it's going to be the unit that gets killed. But say there's like a bomb that goes off, like say right here. This is a great example. So the building has just been destroyed, but the node unit is still alive. We don't want this building to be a spawn site anymore, but this guy's still like a respawn beacon. So we have to also check the state of this building here. I wonder if that little fire thing works. Just curious now. Where's I think it's here. Does firework? Nah. Yeah, so we have to check the building state as well as the unit state. Spawning units, we've sort of done that. The initial, delayed movement and pathing. So what's going to happen is like enemy squads are going to spawn in the town. I don't want them I don't want them just all running out on the street at once. Like I want them sort of like drip fed out into the street. So we need to delay or like stagger the time that they're able to start running at. I already have some ideas for that. That shouldn't be too big a deal. We'll work on that today as well. Patrol nearby objectives. I haven't figured out what I want them doing yet. Like, so they spawn in the town, but where do they go? Do they go like try to defend the radio tower? Do they run to the HQ? Do they patrol the town first? Like, do they just patrol the town, like between the various nodes, like protecting the nodes, or something else? Do they run towards the nearest players, or what do they do? I don't know. So we're just gonna do something generic, like we'll give them like normal patrols to do. Yeah, we'll just give them normal patrols to do, and then we'll figure out what to do with them later, because that's like we change that pretty easy. So we'll do something generic just to make it work beforehand. What else do we have to do? We have to remove the normal garrison spawn infantry when we do this. That's I've already done that, but now that I think about it, I do also want like I want more enemies in the town, not just these guys. So I want more default enemies. So players, when they shoot an enemy, they're not like, oh, I just shot a respawn node. I just want them. I don't want it to be predictable like that. I always want, like, if they shoot or if they see an enemy in the building, they don't know like, oh, enemies are gonna respawn there. I don't want that. I don't want them to be able to make that extension of thinking. I want it to be unknown and randomized. So yeah, we gotta spawn more enemies. So I gotta go back. Like I've already disabled. Where is it? In which file? Yeah, in here, I've put in like a blocker so that if we do use the urban spawning system, that the default urban spawning system is disabled. But I left that in there for like small zones in which the system's not appropriate. So we have to decide: do we want to spawn enemies like that anyway, anyways, or interesting. I may modify this now. So what have we done here? 0 to 26, so it's like 27 enemies spawn in the buildings. We can do like, I can get rid of this line and take this condition. And what we'll do is do 26 and then say the system's active. How many do I want to spawn? Maybe 15? 15. Select urban spawn. This way, enemy will still spawn in the we'll actually bump this to 29. Enemy will still spawn in the area. I'm just looking at this now. I still want them as resistance. I also want this as resistance. But I'll leave them as east for now. Yeah. So we'll set a note to change that later. 29 and then 0 to 14. If we use urban spawn, then 14 will spawn by the default system, and if urban spawn is off, then 29 will spawn. And then also a small upgrade to this. 2 garrison. What I want to do, because this garrison script can sometimes like if there's only 4 building positions, it's not going to put 29. It's not going to put 30 enemies into those spots, so it just leaves them where they spawn. In that case, so this is just something I've noticed where like, which AO is a good example? Like ones out in the middle of nowhere, like this AO is a good example. You'll often find like a huge congregation of enemy here, like around the middle, because there aren't enough buildings to put them in. So what we're gonna do is test to whether they've been garrisoned, and if they have not, then we're gonna get rid of them. So we'll give like a delay, so say sleep 3 for each this. If what do I do in the garrison script? In the garrison function, true, false. Unit enable AI feature. See, it already is supposed to be like deleting enemies like this. It's just I notice sometimes it doesn't. You know what? I'm just gonna forget about this bit. There's some complexity there that I don't want to get into, so I'm just gonna forget I started tinkering with that just now. So yeah, so we've just re-enabled our old garrison system, even when the new one's online. Just after looking at this and realizing, like, I still do want enemies. I still do want enemies spawning in the town that aren't under this system. We just gotta remember to make sure that they look the same. I won't forget that though. I don't need a note for that. And then also we need to think about like if the AO is getting or is taking a long time because of this new urban stuff, that we also like like in the normal, like in the Kavala mission or Georgetown mission on Tanoa, there's like green and red markers over top of enemies in the town just to help like locate them. Activating a system like that after the AO's been up for like a certain amount of time might be like an elegant solution. That's an option, but I think we'll work on that later. That's like a separate component and not a simple one either. So what do we need to do next? We need to determine when the spawn building is no longer viable, is destroyed, or assigned unit killed. So how often should we test this system? I'll go into our function that controls enemy reinforcements, which is how we're going to be accessing this new system. So I've been looking at this script for a while, like in recent days, trying to figure out like where to plug in our new logic. Like this system, it spawns a squad, and then if it makes sense to send them by helicopter, then it'll do that. But if it doesn't make sense, then it will just have them come in as normal. So we need to just like we did with this helicopter thing. Just like we did with the helicopter thing, we also need to say, hey, this squad can come in via urban reinforcement instead of from afar. So that's where we're at. I have to figure out where in this function we're going to insert the line. This is our helicopter breakoff. Wonder why. Yeah, okay. So if we're not doing a heli insert, then we do that. And then why do we need to go through this end bit here? Because enemy ground reinforce array. Enemy ground reinforce array. So we need to make sure that any enemy we spawn from this function get added to this array here. They can be cleaned up afterwards. Just looking. So we find a position, but if we're doing urban spawning, we don't need to find the position. So basically what this function is doing is just reinforcing the AO with a squad. So I actually want to just completely divert it. Maybe above, because if we're doing urban spawning, we don't need a to spend the CPU power on finding a spot way outside the AO. So maybe we'll divert it up here. If, and then where's our variable that we need? So our variable for urban spawning is here. There's going to be other variables that we'll use. This is just real early, like this is like the baby steps, or the foothills in front of a mountain of work to do. But it's a start, and usually just starting gets you halfway there. So if urban spawn, and we'll have our bit of randomization as well. So we'll do like, and random 1 is greater than 0.5. But for now, we're actually going to do 0. Debug. Change this to logical integer. Logical value before release. So this, we want to force this so we can see it working. So we're just going to set random 1 greater than 0. And what else? Random 1 greater than 0. The problem is, like, say this player is like saturating the town, like all over the place. The problem is, like, say there's just players everywhere and there's nowhere to spawn enemies. We still want to reinforce the AO. It just won't happen through this. So yeah. So we need to check, or we need to also allow this function to run, which means we can't just do like exit with. We can't do that because we need this function to run if urban spawning is not appropriate. And now there's other calculations we have to do. For instance, we need to check where's our system here? Building data. Where's the other one? It is here. So we need to check that both the building is alive and also the node unit inside is alive. And both within the same building or yeah, like both the building and the associated unit are still alive. So we need to check that. So we'll add in a line somewhere. Let's have a look. Building spawn data. What's in building data? It's the building, the unit, and then building positions. So we need to iterate over this function here. Oops. That's our function. Select alive building. So what do we do? What's the easiest way to do this? So we have an array of information. We do so we have x select 0 and x select 1. So we need to do like alive x select 0 and alive x select 1. So we need to take the return of this and make sure it's greater than 0. So something like that. So yeah, that's what we got. So urban spawn data, select alive x select 0 and alive x select 1 is not equal to 0. Then yeah, so that means the unit is alive and the building is alive. One second, I got stuff on the stove. All right, so we take this data, and if see this variable here, it basically looks like this variable here sort of looks like this. So it's like building units, building positions. So it just sort of like looks like that. So we want to compare that x select 0 is alive, the building's alive, and x select 1 is alive. So that's what we're determining here. So this line will go, this is it should be an easy line to compute, so I'm not too worried about CPU on that line. Yeah, so this basically says, all right, so the spawning mechanism is active on this AO, and also it's still possible to spawn enemies. But there's also like, we have to make sure there's not like too many players close to it. So we'll have to do something actually. We'll have to check for nearby players as well. Now this line is costly to compute. So we'll check for nearby players with each one. I wonder if we can do, should be able to do lazy evaluation in select. All players, actually I'll do, or wait, what's the syntax? Units west, in area array, get pause ATL x like 0, and our radius maybe 50. 50 is like the minimum. We won't spawn anything closer than 50. How big's 50 meters anyways? So 50 meters from like the center of the intersection is to about here. So from the center of the intersection to here, that's pretty damn close. That seems a bit too close to be spawning stuff. Maybe we'll bump it out to like 70. We're gonna do other stuff to like hide the spawning. 75, nice even number. Finish off the syntax of that. Just don't ask me how I remember it. So, actually this is straight into that function, isn't it? So, we can just do all players. But that could iterate a lot, so I want to do all players up here. I'm surprised I haven't already defined all players somewhere. See 6 matches in the function. Yeah, I should really do something about that. So find next. Small optimization to this function. All players should be viable there. Yeah, okay, cool. All players in area array get pos_utl. This is like more expensive condition than I'd like, but it sort of has to be done. This basically means that alright. That will require some testing to make sure it works. So we're going to put a, basically what this condition is doing now is saying, alright, so this function has been called, therefore the mission wants to reinforce the AO with enemies. It'll get down to here and say, hey, the urban spawning mechanism is on. The random chance has passed. And then also there is a viable spawning site because the building's alive, the unit inside is alive, and there are no players within 75 meters of it. Therefore, continue and try to do an urban respawn. I'm just thinking now whether I want to like allow this function to proceed if the urban respawn doesn't go well. I just want to see how it's called. So how is this function called in the framework? what do we do? We don't call it directly. Use this proxy function. Yeah, so it is called, it's not spawned. And we do have to return units. So yeah, this is like the base from where the whole respawn mechanism is called from. Right here. So we do have to return units. That clarifies some stuff. It's a good thing. Okay. If anyone can figure out a better way to write this, that's good. Or a better like logic structure than this, then that's good. But otherwise, that's all I got. So, what am I gonna do here? Maybe I can exit with. Alright, maybe we will exit with. That makes things simpler in my mind because I don't have to worry about the rest of the script. We just have to return something. And what have we done here? So, units reinforce group. We just have to return an array of units here. What we can do is go units. Is this variable used already? No. Whatever. Not respawn, but reinforce call QSFNC. And what's our function over here? AO urban spawn. This isn't right either, though. I don't want to do an exit with. We already went over why. I'm an idiot, so I thought it was a good idea once again. So I'm going to do units equals empty array. And then if units is not equal to empty array, exit with units. There. So reinforce call urban spawn. Now over here in our urban spawn function, create a if type to reinforce, then cool. With this initial one, we don't have to return anything. We'll still do like a return value here. And then on the bottom, get that. Cool. Okay, now we can operate in our reinforce section of this script. We don't have to worry about dicking around in this already built up function. It just passes back to this function. I wonder. Is this the best way to do it? Because they'll iterate through all of them. I guess there's only 10 though. So it's okay. Oh well. So type is equal to reinforce. Now what? So how are we going to reinforce the zones? So say we have like 4 enemies, and this is like the squad that's gonna reinforce. And say they pick this building here. Do we want them to all spawn in here? This is like a design question I've like been thinking about. So do we want them to all spawn here, or can this respawn node, respawn beacon guy, is he like area of effect where because he's here, enemy can like respawn in the local area? Is that what we want? Or should they all come out of the same door? So what I'm afraid of is like some sniper up in the hill has like found a spawn building and just like watches it because he knows enemy are going to come out of it. I feel like it makes better sense if they can spawn like in a close area. Civilian informant. Well, it gets an add action to show you the location. Ah, yeah, cool. Of the remaining enemies. Yeah, it could do something like that. Could definitely do something like that. Those are all possibilities. I feel like for now, this is like a changeable thing. We're just gonna have them all spawn in the same building. So they'll spawn like this, and then they'll all be set to like a different timer for when their feet are allowed to start moving. So they'll be stuck like this, and then like after 20 seconds, you know, this guy will be allowed to walk out, and then 10 more seconds, this guy will be allowed to come out. So they'll be like drip fed a little bit into the town, so they're not all bursting out the door at once. So that's our plan so far, and that makes it a bit easier. So for reinforce, what do we have to do? We have to pick a suitable building. We have to detect player line of sight to filter building positions. That's just so they're not like say there's a where's an example? There's probably an example this way. Yeah, so we'll just use this house. Say we have a player running towards the house here, like 2 guys. So say there's 2 guys like running towards this house to clear it. I don't mind if they're back here. I'm okay with enemies still spawning in this house here. Like in my mind, it's still okay to spawn guys in here because they haven't gotten there. They don't know what's behind the door. But what we don't want, so it's like this guy spawning here. This is perfect. This is awesome right here. What we don't want though is for enemies to say, "All right, let's spawn in this building," and then to have them spawn on the balcony like that. That's what I don't want. So I don't want that. I want them to like this back balcony, sure, why not? But this front one, nah, because there's enemies who are able to see it. So we have to detect line of sight to filter out bad building positions. Select quantity to spawn. Here's another little trick we got to do. We got to set them to prone off-site before moving to final spawn point. So we have to set them to prone position, because like this window here is a good example. So we don't want enemy to spawn in like the window standing up, but if they spawn like this, like prone on the ground, the player can't see them. Like the player can't see this spot, and then I think this is okay where the guy spawns prone and then stands up. I think that's okay. So set them to prone off site, and it takes them a second to get into the prone position. So we're gonna have to like spawn them off site, set them to prone, wait till they're down, and then move them into position, and then allow them to get to their normal animation. That's the plan. Wow, they all suck. Alright, so yeah, that's the plan. Is to pick a suitable building, detect line of sight, select the quantity to spawn, and then set them to prone off site. And then move them into position, and then return, and then how do we do this? And then just return list. So that's what we got to do in this little function here. And that is what we're going to do now. So pick a suitable spawn building. So we're going to just copy some stuff from up here. Building data. And we want to filter just like we did back here. Why is it like that? There we go. So just like we did back here, we want to run some filtration. Copy this in for a sec. Building data equals building data select basically all of this. This is unfortunate that we have to do this twice actually. This is definitely unfortunate. I want to do this because this is quite an expensive calculation. I want to do it once instead of like once here and then again here. What we can do is private valid data. So we'll just actually slip it right in here. Valid data equals trying to change this function slightly. Valid data, and then valid data is so what we're doing here, I want to use this evaluation here only. I don't want to do it again here because it's quite expensive to do all this in-area array checking on every building. So we'll just do it once. So what we'll do is define a variable in the condition here. So this is our condition. Valid data, da da da. So the condition is still returning a value. This works fine, or it should work fine theoretically. Valid data is not equal to that, and then we just pipe it directly through into our urban spawn thing. So params valid data, and now we have a pre-filtered data set. Building data equals, so how do we want to use it? I want to use valid data, but we haven't done all the evaluations. So we know with valid data that it's going to contain, that it's not empty for one, and that the unit is alive, the associated building is alive, and that players are not too close to it. So we want to just pick a random one pretty much. So what should we name it? Just like use data equals select a random valid data. Yeah, we're not going to have them stay. We're definitely not going to have the units like stay in the building. So they'll spawn in here, but they're not going to stay there. Like these 4 guys will definitely be like, they won't all rush out onto the street at once. Like they're not going to just go boom like that. They're not all just going to run out. Like they're going to like maybe run out like that and like that, and then a bit later like that. So they'll be drip fed, sort of. We also have to make sure there aren't too many enemies in the building. Like if there's like 50 enemies in the building, then that's not good. But where do we want to do that calculation? We could do it in here, but I don't like this block of code here. But we may have to. And so what do we do? Check that there aren't too many enemies in the area. And this is not a nice function anymore. So we'll use all units. Actually, we'll just use like just east side units. So we'll just use this selection and we'll just go like east units. Man, I don't like this function anymore. Or I don't like this condition. It's not nice at all. We just have to make sure that there aren't too many enemies right beside the building. But we would have to do this evaluation anyways over here, so we're just moving it over here, so I guess it's okay. East in-area array. How do I not use get pause ATL twice? Gotta be a way. Alright, it's ugly, but we gotta get moving as well, so. Get pause ATL X like 0. We'll do 25. 25, 0. Yeah, very ugly. And that, and that. Never do this at home, guys. It's disgusting. But if it works, it works. Yeah, the issue with AI is they can get stuck sometimes. Like, I'm not sure if there are any on Altus. But I know on Tanoa there are buildings where they're like inaccessible. I wonder if there are any anywhere. I think all the buildings have exits and stuff, so it should be okay. I know there's some buildings where the AI can't get out properly for whatever reason. I forgot about all these garages. What a dumb area. Alright. So no enemies, or wait. This doesn't make sense. This returns an array. It's gonna return true. Is equal to that. So we don't want any players within 75 meters. Units east. Count units east. So what's our max units in a building? Maybe 6, 7? Counts units east is less than 8. So maybe the max in a building is like less than or equal to 8. We'll set that as our like limit for how many enemies can be within 25 meters of a building. Now, what's 25 meters look like? So 25 is like from the building to like maybe here. So there's more than 8 like in this area, then it won't use that. That's about right. I think that's about right. We can always change it. The main thing is the logic is there. I gotta stop looking at this code because it makes me sick. Just this block here, just not happy. Okay. That's valid data, valid data. Use data. Alright, so those conditions are true. We have to pick all the conditions under which we're happy to spawn units. Like all the common conditions. We'll do line of sight checks as well. Should we do line of sight check here? Oh my god. Should we? I feel like if units is not equal to that, then exit with. But if it is, see, nah, I'm just looking at this, I'm thinking, alright, so what I didn't want to happen was like, for a valid position, or a valid like set of circumstances to not be found. So like the system decides, alright, we're not going to reinforce with this urban system. I still wanted to continue down here to do like a normal conventional reinforcement. So as long as that is the case, that it will just continue, then I'm okay with that. So units reinforce, and then the return is if units is not equal to that exit width, which is perfect. All right. So I'm happy now to move over to this function and edit this one. This block here feels like, not that it's done, but that it's like good enough to continue. So pick a suitable building, doesn't matter, select random. And then we'll do some line of sight checks. So we'll do like but to do line of sight checks, we have to first use data, select random valid data. So this is our like, it looks like this. So like building units, building positions. So we have to get line of sight between nearby players and building positions. Use data, private building equals use data like 0. I can just do like, we'll do it the normal way. Building units, building positions. And then building positions are like the last value, like the Z value is always like right on the ground. So we need to actually like raise the line of sight check up a little bit, maybe like half a meter. So we'll go like building positions equals building positions, apply. We may be able to, we might actually bring forward that calculation to somewhere else. Where are we? AO subobjective. So what I want to do now is these building positions, like the Z value is always on the floor, so I want to pick the Z value up a bit for like a line of sight check. So AO subobjective, apply. This right here will give us our list of things. So how does this work? This is our list here. So building positions equals so I need to edit the xselect2 of each building data. So I'm just trying to figure out the best structure for editing. We'll do a for each loop. To do building positions, so building positions. Yeah, that was right. So 0, 1, 2, xselect2 for each building positions. This is like a x building positions set for each index x vector add, and then we'll 0, 0, and then like 0.5 for the added height. So building positions, x select 2 for each that building positions set for each index. X vector add that. I think that makes sense. And then building data set. Building data set for each index. X select 0 unchanged, X select 1 unchanged, and then BLDG pause. Alright, so what we've done here, and if that went fast for anybody, then I apologize. What we were basically doing is taking like the list of data in this array and modifying it. So we have the full list of like all the buildings, all the units, all the building positions. Iterate through, take the building positions of each element, and then iterate through those building positions, and then changing the vector because it's like a position, right? So we change the z value by plus 0.5, and then go back and set that new updated list into the element, and then set the master array with the updated element like this. I'll test that bit of code to make sure it works properly, but I'm just confident that it'll work, so I'll leave it for now. Actually, I guess we could test it now, just to make sure. Escape, start again. So we come in here, we will pop it off to the side. We'll close off this function for a moment. So we'll define our function again. Define that. And then we'll come in here and execute this, and hopefully no script errors. Okay, cool. So I want to just also double check this. We'll go like, we'll check to make sure the enemies are all in place. Yes. System chat, stir, like 0. We're just checking the Z value. So where's our building positions? Yeah, how about that? So we seem to have lost our building positions. I think it's because I used this bit. Because I've used like a function from the framework, and we're just in the editor here. So I just have to tweak it. So I'll come in here and just go like that for a moment. All right. So we're coming in, define our function again. Come back here, run the init. No enemies there. Spawn them in. See, yeah, they can spawn on the balconies. We don't want that. We want them like inside. So now what? Now we want to check system chat stir. It's like 0. I'm not getting the result I want. I want building positions. Building positions. Building data 010. No, I'm not getting the result I want from this yet. For each index, for each index. Maybe I can do something else here. Apply X. It gets rid of some of that code. Apply X vector add. That. Da da da. I wonder why not. I wonder why not. What's happening here? Building data is not changing. Oh, it's changing right here, so I'm losing data right here. Okay. X select 2. That's where the problem was. I was modifying the array here and dropping an element. Yes, not smart. Okay. Redefine that. And then we'll run through this again. Remove all these guys. And then run through. I'm just checking to make sure that the building positions have like a value above the ground. So I'm checking the building positions in chat to make sure that like the number is reasonable. Yeah, so it's not like 0. Cool. I'm gonna drop it a little bit though. It's like, oh no, 0.5 is good. That accounts for Windows. Okay, happy with that. Now what do we need to do? Line of sight check, yes. Building positions equals building positions select. Now we're just picking building positions that don't have line of sight with nearby players. So we're going to do nearby players equals can I pass all players through as well from enemy reinforced? So I'll pass through all players so I don't have to get all players again. There. All players in area array. Maybe I'll put this evaluation down here. Go. Get pause ATL building. And then maybe how far do we want to extend the line of sight? Like 750? 500? So do 500 for now. If is not equal to that, then run the filter. Building position equals building position select. Now we need to do like our check visible function. I have something done here already, some function in this system. Is pause visible? Where is it? Here. So this is a function to check for position visibility. So I wonder if we just use this. Nah. For each units. So position. Already vector add right here as well. Interesting. So I'm not going to use this function, although I probably should. Instead, I'm just going to go back to our other stuff with the syntax from it. We'll come back to urban spawn, and this is our position visibility check. So I will paste that there for a moment, and then run through nearby players. So how to do this? Nearby players, run like check visibility on them. Maybe I should just call this function hi. Maybe I should. We'll make a local function. So we're gonna create a local function which like sort of looks like this. It's gonna take like what do we need? Why don't we just use this function? Is pause visible? Why don't we just use it? Alright, we're just gonna use it, sort of. So we're just gonna put it in here. Get rid of this. Is pause visible? You get rid of this vector add bit. Get rid of scope name. No, we'll leave scope name. I pause X. Side group X. So what do we get? Is pause visible? Position, radius, units. Why is this side? The sides thing doesn't matter here. We get rid of sides. X distance 2D position is less than radius. We don't need the radius check either. That's why I didn't want to use that function. We don't need all of it. We just need this check visibility nugget in the middle. So that's our function right here. And then we want to run the evaluation right here. So how do we call it? X for the central position. Radius. What's our radius? Don't need that anymore. Units, we need that. So we'll use nearby players. Sides, don't need that. Tolerance. So check visibility returns a number. So what's our tolerance should be? I'm just gonna use actually, should I keep both? Maybe I'll keep both. Yeah, we can just keep both. So we'll go iPause X. Sometimes the player's like camera, like this measures the iPause, so like it measures like how do I do it? So iPause would measure like right here, like the player's face. But like see how I'm in third person here? I'm not looking from the player's face. I'm looking from like up and behind. So like as example, if a player or if an enemy wanted to spawn in this like deck in front of us, from here there would be no line of sight, but from here there would be, and they'd be able to spawn right there. So that wouldn't be nice for people to see that. So to address that, we'll just do something simple. So we'll do like private iPause equals, and here we go like iPause equals pause X, and then we'll just use vector add again. Vector add 0, 0, 1, 3. That like covers players looking over walls and shit. iPause, and then we'll use that instead of just iPause. I knew there was a reason I didn't like that function. It's just a bit old. iPause X vector add 001 visibility. Visibility or tolerance is 0.5, we'll say, and then return is going to be true. So I want to return a bool instead of like a number integer. Call is pause visible. So is pause visible? So this will return, what's it going to return? Check visibility is greater than that. Select not is pause visible then. So we want like the position to not be visible. Alright. So where's our, so we have building positions. We're checking nearby players. Is pause visible? iPause position, yeah, so position, units, nearby players, tolerance, and then is equal type. I don't like this plus here though. I'm looking at that. The visibility is the plus, so I want to do like max. So 0 max 0 would be 0, I think. System chat stir 0 max 0. 0, cool. So this one could return like 0.5 and this one could return 0.7. I want to return like the greatest of those two. And then the greatest one can't be over that. So, got that. For each units. players, da da da. Okay. So what have we done here? We've detected player line of sight. Now we need to determine whether we can still spawn. So if is not equal to empty, then we can still spawn. Move this little blurb up here. Building positions is not equal to that. So this array here that we have now, this building position's down here. Like not this one. This one up here is unfiltered. But down here it has since been filtered by this bit here. So count equals count building positions. So how many enemy do we want to spawn? And the max that we can spawn is this count number here. Or how many do we want to spawn? We want to spawn I think 4 is a good start. Like 4 is like always a good number for spawning. For I actually want to randomize these as well. Just want to do like call array shuffle for now. So they're not always the same order. For I from 0 to max minus 1. Step 1 do. Alright. Max minus 1, step 1 do. So these are the max. This is the number of enemies we can spawn here. So we'll go. We'll go what? What will we go? We have to do some of this stuff up here. I'm gonna bring this bit here. This is like a spawning block. It's a very common thing I use. So unit equals. If I can type. Define those as empties. Unit types. Maybe we should bring this out. Maybe we should go like this and just bring it outside here so that I have unit types for both scripts. Now I can use unit types down here as well. So actually, pick our building position first. So predefine that. Building positions. Delete at 0. This is our building position, I think. I think that's how delete at works, right? So it gives me the element that I'm deleting, which is fine. So we remove that from the array, but we first get it. And then we go unit equals group create units. Got our unit types up here that we can spawn from. I might change that later on, but unit types, and then position is building position. And collide. I'm just looking up here for what else to do. So units setup. This is where we have to like spawn it off site, hey. So we have to spawn it at like somewhere. That's a challenge actually. We'll have to look into some stuff to do there, because we're gonna have to put them like, we're gonna have to make them prone, so there's another step here to do to set them prone offsite and then set them into position. What I can do is like so units push back, units go, unit disabler, enable AI feature anim false. That way they can't move. And then leave a note there for later. Let's push back units, unit call setup, enable AI feature path false. Let's check this up here too. Yeah, set unit pause down, whatever. So some notes here for later. Unit set pause. So we're gonna pretend it's not here. So we'll leave this line in as if this wasn't here. But now at point of spawn, we're going to get rid of some of that Z value we added. So yeah, so we're going to do that. Because we used like a higher Z value for check visible. And now, like, we don't want them to spawn at window height and then fall to the ground. We want them to spawn like where they were supposed to originally. So we got to use some vector add stuff again. Unit set pause like that, and then after this, unit spawn. Maybe wait 2 seconds for each this. X set unit pause. Auto. X enable AI or enable AI feature anim true. So now we're spawning them in, we're waiting a short time, and then we're re-enabling their ability to move around. If that makes any sense. So get that, get that. Just go through, do some stuff here. Wow, using the return variable. I don't want that. So return ability, visibility. Definitely gonna be some errors or bugs in this. We're flying around now, like we're doing a lot, which is good. Just exit with no. Get rid of that bit. So we're getting there. Certainly are getting there. Set to prone off site. Set to prone off site. Units. Unit call that. Unit pause down. Pause. Building position vector, add that. I wonder how I can test this now. We're definitely gonna have to test this. Maybe we'll just do a live test just to see what happens when it's time to do that. Just to see what happens. We'll put some debug lines in here though. But not yet. We're still moving. What's next? Move them into position, then return list, and now there's other stuff I have to do for groups. Reinforce group, attack position, attack type. So I just want to give them like a normal patrol setup. So I want to go over to AO enemy and find out what we did there. Just for normal infantry patrols. Patrol group, general infantry. So we'll just apply some of this stuff. My patrol route here. Actually, we could just give them like a bunch of different buildings. So we'll do something like that for now. Just keep it simple. So we'll go. So where are we? We have this bit reinforce. So we've done that. So right here, I want to insert some code. This is basically our version of waypoints. We don't do waypoints in this framework for whatever reason. Instead, we use like set variable for a lot of stuff. Is that, and what is our patrol route? The patrol route will be registered positions, like objective spots, or what if I just make them like random town, like um, urban spawn data. I want to get like unfiltered building position stuff now. I want to get like, go back here. I think registered positions is actually okay though. On files, just want to see the data format. Make sure it's all just positions. Yeah, okay. Registered positions. Which is good. It's like patrolling objectives, like anti-air battery, other stuff. Patrol route. But I want to shuffle this, so we'll go. Just gonna shuffle that. Units group. Alright. So they have orders for after that. But there's also the delayed foot movement thing. I call it like delayed instructions. So I do have a delayed instructions, not a module, but like a line of code that handles giving units something to do after a short wait time. Right here in the unit handling code. So we come here. Just going to copy this over for a sec so I can see what we have to do. So unit get variable delay instructions. So we want to go like unit set variable delayed instructions. And then it will be like this. So what goes here? We got sort true, delayed instructions, select 0, select 1, select 0. I just want to do like, I want to change this a bit. I just want to do like delayed instructions, select 0. Current instruction, current arguments, and call 2, 0, 1, 2. I have to do some stuff to this eventually to change it slightly, but so it'll go, let's do like server time. I will do, put server time up here, so server time plus random 10, 30, 60 as like the time before they're allowed to move their feet. 130, 60, very random. And then arguments call function. So arguments are unit, so we can just have like 0, 1, 2, so unit call this code, this enable AI feature path true. Something like that. This enable I feature, path true. This is quite, I don't want to say it's complex stuff, but you know, you know, it's complex-ish, I guess you'd say. So we're giving the unit like delayed instructions to do something after a certain time, but just that. So we want we want to make their feet disabled for a bit when they spawn, and then after a little while, um, allow them to move again. I'm slightly changing this bit. Then current instruction, and then the current instruction. I had like an idea for like a series of delayed instructions, but I haven't used this bit ever. And now we have a use case, and I don't need like a list of delayed instructions, so we're just going to modify it to simplify it. Current instruction, select 1, select 2, and then we will go unit set variable. I don't need to sort it. Set variable, delayed instructions, and then we'll do our AI system owners to propagate that, and that's it. So wipe it clean after they've done what they're supposed to do. Get rid of that. Come back here, delete instructions, server time. Unit, this enable I feature path true. I should probably do like a I should probably do something like is final. No, that doesn't help anything. Never mind. I can just write whatever. Alright. Server time delayed instructions, this, system AI owners. I'm just working through this list right here. Like, this is literally what we're doing. Spawn units, determine when spawn building no longer viable. We've done all that, we're gonna go ahead, we'll get rid of this out of here. We have our patrol routes. We're gonna put some logging into this. So we'll start at the, let's move this up here. Sort of. Get out of the code. So dialog enemy reinforce urban. Give it a number 0. One, 2. Going ahead, we're going through and like logging. Actually, this shouldn't be here either. I dropped this in just to view it, so I don't need any of that. 2, 3, 4. It's pretty risky to do this without like testing it. But we like to live on the edge. come back here to AO prepare, AO subobjective, patrol nearby. I think we've got that. Delayed movement, spawn units. Remove garrison spawning from AO enemy if. So we've done that, done that. Alright, so we've got a fair bit done here. Leave that in so it's under urban objective. Get rid of this. I doubt this is going to work right away. Yeah, I doubt this is going to work right away. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Return like that. So what is our return? Okay, AO subobjective like that. Da da da. Just figuring out what's gonna happen here. It's gonna come through. Yeah. Okay. So urban AO prepare. So we're gonna add zero urban. Actually, don't know why it needs to be in that list. I mean, like, so what's the return here? Give return true. Objective is required. 0. Objective is required. 1. So we do have to set this here. To do like, just to make it known that the objective is not required for the AO to complete. Objective arguments, code. Okay. I'm happy with that. So that's going to go here. We're going to jump in here. It's going to initialize this top bit here. We're going to get our buildings that we need. And then the reinforce will run through here. Yeah, enemy reinforce. Oh yeah, we need to add we do need to add the list. So we'll go to here. This is where we exit here is not equal to so we exit with units. So QS array. What happens to QS array here? Enemy ground reinforced array, pushback for each. So what happens here is we just go just trying to make all this work. So QS array. Cool, so that works. How many numbers we got done here? Got 5. I want to start right here. So we go 0, 1, 2, and then we jump into here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. AO urban spawn. So we'll make this a function now. FNC AO urban spawn. I think we already did. I'll have to check. No, get rid of that. List of functions. L1OP, QRSTU. Nope. So we'll define our function. AO urban spawn. AO urban spawn. Let's see what happens, huh? We've been going a while without. It's been a number of hours or a few hours without testing or anything, any compiles at all. So we'll see what happens. Will we even compile? So greater than 0, urban spawn, da da da. I'm pretty happy. We'll see what happens. So we're gonna do a live test just to see what we get. Any errors, please? Any script errors? Things this complex almost never work first test. But we don't have any script errors, so that's good. So we'll just run it, see what happens. So we're just booting up our server. And before we join, we'll check our server log. Because if there are issues, they will emerge in there, thankfully. So we'll check server log. It's usually where they start. Like, if there's any compile issues, they come up here. Coming down, bunch of junk. Anything here is some built-in errors here. Multifunction display errors. No errors yet. Looks good, looks good. Alright. I'm happy to jump in for a test. See what we get. It's gonna be hard to even see this function working, so we may have to rely on the logging, which is fine. Moving the log over to another moving the log over to another screen just so I can view it more easily. All right. So we're all spawned in. This town should be a viable town. Oh fuck. Something bad happened here. So yeah, something bad happened. Looks like the AO just completed by itself. Which is not what we want. So we're gonna have to go in and see what the error was. Okay, yeah. Core AI, known enemies. Just looking for errors right now. 135. Objective states. So we did have an error. Right. At line 45 and line 35. Sort of expected-ish. 45 and 35. So what do we got here? Objective state. So objective state was not defined. So I guess we just go like unit then HP1 init urban spawn. I wonder if there are any other errors like above this or anything. I don't see any. Oh, yeah, we got something here. Okay. Okay, so we do have something. HQ pause, AO enemy 382. Spawning static weapons, 382. This might be like. Nah, this is like an error because of another error. So that's don't have to worry about that one. What we do want to do is fix this one. Problem is like this AO sub-objective script. Iterates over itself. I'm just looking at what we have to do to fix it. Enemy pop, objective code is required. So where are we? We'll just use this one, huh? Simple enough. We'll go like this. Zero. Objective arguments, code. Objective code, return. 0 uncompleted. Arguments required. Alright, hopefully that'll work. So we'll have to exit and recompile this bit. Yeah, this is like this is the bits that have to be done, but which aren't so interesting. This is just the way the sub-objective system we have in is. Like you spawn an objective, and then you set like the parameters for completion and everything, and then the mission like evaluates it every minute or two. So yeah, hopefully by setting those defaults that it works. I wonder if there's an error in that other bit though. Maybe that's why. I thought like I was surprised that that was the error that we got. So I wonder if I wonder if yeah, objective states, objective data, select 0, 1. Objective state was undefined. Okay. Oh, we'll see. See what happens. So we'll see what error we get this time. If it's the same error, then it'll require a bit more thought. But hopefully, I have a feeling it's the return of that other function. So that it should be fixed now. I think it's fixed, but it's way too early to put money on that. We will just have to see what happens. Okay, so the AO's up. That's good. That's a very good sign. Let's have a look. How we looking? How are we looking? I want to say not good. I want to say not good. Can I say not good? Put some enemy in here. I'll put some units in here just to chase things. What the hell, man? It's all this like display issues because I'm in window mode. That's why. So I want to say not good because we should have seen our nodes spawn in there. So I dare say we'll have some script errors. Yes. So we still have those things occurring. That's still occurring. Yeah, so there's still some bugs. I mean, this is working. You see, like like this MG tower is like in the town now instead of just like up on the hill. It's pretty good. Um, where's the ah, yes, this is over here. That's all right. Um, yeah, there's something that's not working in there's something here that's not working. And we're going to figure out what it is. We're going to figure it out. I can't quite see it. Like this AO urban spawn is giving us a return. So we're going to do some diagnostics here. Just the AO is not like deleting itself, so we'll see what this gives us. Nothing. Urban spawn data. Yes, yeah, urban spawn. It's false. Why is it false? Registered positions. Make sure this works. Subject's house. I'm just looking at what we got here. See if we can just try a couple different AOs. So we'll see if we can find an AO that works. Like it'll need to be like a larger AO as well. There's probably all sorts of script errors occurring right now. But we'll give it a moment to spawn the AO. Yeah, it just takes a minute. Alright, this one should work. So we'll check what's in our in here. Empty array still. Still false as well. Jeez. Well, okay. There are things to debug then, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure what yet. I thought we did a good job. I just put in a feature actually, I want to test it. So grab these guys and put them in here. So I'll just put a bunch of units in here in the heli. And what we're going to do is test a little touchdown feature we added. It's mainly for Zeus, whoever's doing Zeus, to be able to. Oh shoot! Still guys back here. Or are there still enemies here? That's awkward. Okay, so I have to check that user action 14 is set. Controls. Custom user. So button 9. Which button is number 9? That's number 9. Okay. So I have like a custom control set. So you're like flying a helicopter as Zeus. This is mainly for Zeus. Flying a helicopter as Zeus, and you want the AI to hop out as soon as you touch the ground. Think about like flying transport for the enemy sort of thing. You press user action 14, and it should like push them out like that. Yeah, there you go. So in they go. Instead of like getting out as they normally do, like real slow and everything, you'd be able to like push them, quickly land. And push them out. Sort of. Linhaven would have been a good AO to test on. Unfortunately, our system's not working at the moment. In comes. Blade's still spinning. That's a bit dangerous. So yeah, that's what we got for now. Unfortunately, our system's not quite working. I can't figure out why. There's something going on somewhere. That's all I got. We will figure it out. We added it in here. Maybe the 0 is the problem? Is this 0 right here the problem? ASO objective. I think that might be it. Oh my god. I think that's just it. Could that just be the problem? We've changed that to 1. Alright, we'll do one more test. I have a feeling that that may have been the problem. So we'll try one more on the off chance that this works. Urban spawn. I think I'm just forgetting a couple things though. Yeah, sub-objective. Urban. Urban spawn set true, if that works. Yeah. we will give it a try because that was a that was a obvious error right there. So if this can work, then we may have found our culprit. I doubt it, but it's worth a try just before we end it. We're almost on the stream. We're gonna do. I want to see it working. So I always like doing like a Hail Mary test at the end of whatever I work on. Like we got the bare bones structure in fully. Like all the parts are there for it to fully work. Um, but often things don't work without a lot of like debugging and testing and like bug fixing. But sometimes you launch things and the first time you launch it, it works and it's awesome. So we always throw our hat in the ring for a nice result like that. So we tried and failed, but I noticed a very obvious bug right there, like a blocker, like nothing was going to work anyways because of it. We fixed that, and then we'll see what happens. Because the logic makes sense. Like, I know the logic all works. I know all the functions call where they should. So if there's a reason why it doesn't work, I don't know the reason yet. Which is like a good thing, I guess. We'll see. I did notice something with what we just tested there is that there's a slight delay. There was a slight delay with pressing that button and having the units jump out. But I want to see if the AO like fails and cycles randomly now, because we did just fix a blocker. So I want to see if it works. Have you not seen this helicopter thing before? Like with the helicopter popping out of the hangar? This is sort of, I guess it's new. Like, it's been about 3 months since the last major update. This is one of the things that has happened in the intervening time. Okay, we're gonna check. I don't want to get any hopes up, so we're just gonna check for bugs right now. Da da da. Yeah, there's still bugs here, unfortunately. I'm not sure what that bug's about. But if there's a bug there, it means something else is going wrong. So I don't think we're gonna get much joy just yet, but we are close. So we're gonna test. Oh. So, okay, that is returning true, however. So we may be farther than we thought we were. Sort of. Sort of. Yeah, this is, I mean, you can sort of see a couple new things, like the radio tower. The position of the radio tower is something that would not occur in past updates, but because of what we're doing here, it's like a new thing. So like the radio tower is like in a town instead of like, so normally here the radio tower would be like out here in the grass, and would separate. So like the town would be this thing apart from the mission objectives, but I want like the town to be this thing which is like together with the mission objectives. So we're doing this AI stuff that we've just been working on the last few hours. But then we've also done some objective stuff, like this thing's covering the waterfront down here. It's nice. This radio tower's in the town area. It's nice. This data link's like up on the hill. It's pretty cool. So I think it'll feel like all these things are in the town rather than like out in the bushes. Bushes are fine, but you know. So what error did we get here? We must have got some error. I wonder why that error exists. I don't know. It's gonna take some debugging and some understanding of what we've just implemented in order to fix it. And that will occur in between now and the next stream. So the next stream we do, all the spawning will be working functionally. Like all the guys will be spawning in, and then the respawning will all be happening. And we'll be working on other challenges, like how to make sure it doesn't affect the flow of the AOs. So yeah, we've done a lot for the spawning system today, and more stuff will be happening later. Anyways, that's all I got for today. It's been a long stream, so we'll wrap it up.